My name is Brad Hollett. I'm the fitness coordinator at CFB Edmonton, and today I'm going to go over how to safely lift a canoe for portaging. Could be used for exercise mountain man training or the actual competition day, or even into adventure training. I've got quite a few requests asking how to safely and effectively get to a 16-foot canoe up onto your shoulders and be able to carry it around. So I just want to go over two different techniques and sort of how to do it safely. Before we get started with that, I'm going to go over the basics of a canoe just so we all have the same terminology and know which parts are what on the boat. So first off, we have the back end of the stern of the boat over here. We have the bow or the front of the boat up here. How you're going to tell which is which, if you look inside, you'll see that the seats are both placed closer towards one end, and they're both placed closer to the stern of the boat. That way when you have two people sitting in it, they both have room for their feet and it's balanced correctly. So by looking at this, you can see this seat's further back, so it's in the front. That seat's further back with no space for you to put your feet the other direction. So that is the stern of the boat. There's our bow. Next, we've got this bar here. This is the thwart. The thwart is not a stabilizing bar to be able to put weight on top. It strictly keeps the boat from warping or twisting sideways. So we don't want to ever press down on that or try to use that to portage with. Our middle beam right here, that is well contoured towards our neck and shoulders, it's called the yoke. This is where we will be placing the boat up onto our shoulders. After that, these two black rails, those are called the gunnels. They're going to be used for gripping, lifting, holding on to, that sort of thing. And last, not really necessary for portaging, but just so we know, this edge here along the boat is called the keel. Just when you are paddling, you want to avoid ramming that into rocks because it's a quick way to destroy your canoe. So now that we have all the terminology down of what we're going to be using, there are two methods, like I briefly touched on how to lift the canoe up above your head. Obviously, the best way to do this is to actually have two other people do a safe lift, turn it over, and you walk underneath with it. But if you're in a situation where you're training by yourself, or if you're on something like Mountain Man and you've dropped your canoe and you've got to get it back up, I want to show these two ways to get it done. First one, it is not as technical. It can sometimes be harder to have the body control and it can flip on you, but it doesn't require you to lift the entire boat over or off the ground all at once. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the stern of the boat and flip it over. Once it's flipped over, staying at the stern, you're going to lift it up using the bow as a pivot point. As you can see, when you're working with the end, it is quite tippy because we only have two narrow pivot points, so we want to try to get it stabilized as quickly as possible. That means your hands are going to have to be on each gunnel in order to control it, okay? From here, I'm just going to walk underneath with my head, walk my hands forward along the gunnel until I get into the yoke, and then lift it up from there. Sort of sliding along, get my neck in place, get comfortable, and then allow it to pivot upward. Okay? If you wish to take it down, same thing. Place the bow down, lift the yoke over the head, walk the hands back along the gunnel, keeping in mind that as you get closer to the stern, it's going to get a little more unstable. Once you have it here, you can place it to the ground. It looks really easy when I don't have a 40-pound ruck on my back. And that's probably the biggest downside to doing this maneuver, is as you're walking underneath, you got to make sure that ruck isn't hitting the seat, isn't hitting the thwart, isn't getting caught on the yoke at all. So it helps that you don't actually have to lift all the weight, but it can kind of be tricky to do. The other technique, we flip the boat back, is to lift it entirely over our head, using a little bit of power, a lot of leg explosiveness. This movement really does mimic a power clean. In order to accomplish it, Walk the boat up in the other direction onto its side. Okay. From here, I'm going to get into about a quarter or a half squat, and I want to roll the boat back onto my thighs. So I'm just going to brace a little bit like so. My hand positioning. So you're going to want one hand right near the yoke, slightly behind it. If you need to, you can grab just the inside, preference as to what feels stable for you. Opposite hand is going to go at least to the far end of the yoke, if not slightly past towards the stern of the boat along the gunnel, okay? In order to do this, you might have to sort of lean back, prop it up onto the knees like so, and grab. Once you're in this position, I've got the yoke with both hands. I do have to reach across and grab the gunnel, because as I lift and twist, this hand is going to become important to holding it, okay? Get comfortable here, get ready, and then it's an explosive push with the legs and finish with the arms, like so. Both placed comfortably on my shoulders. Once again, I don't have a ruck, but if I do this correctly, it should fall right between the ruck and my shoulders quite easily. Once I'm up here and set, it's basically the same technique to dismount the canoe. So somewhere along here, you want to change your hand grip so that as it flips, it's not going to wreck your wrist. But I still have the gunnel. I'm going to push over and I'm going to land it onto my legs. Once it's on my legs, I can slowly release, let it slide down onto the ground and walk it back down. Either of these techniques both take practice. Not the kind of thing you can just walk out and try out on competition day or on your adventure training outing. Really take the time, go over this a couple times, find out what works for you, what little changes you have to make with your hands, where you got to place them, when you have to twist, that sort of thing. Because if you don't play with this and you just go in cold and try it, you're probably going to run into some trouble. So practice it first, refine it, and it'll really help you on your training or on your competition. Thanks for watching.